G'day, I'm Andy, CEO of the Icehouse.
So Andy, it's been 10 years for the Icehouse. What's next?
Well, I think, we've learned a lot over 10 years, and that's cool. But if we don't really scale it up over the next 10 years, then it's a wasted opportunity. As much as anything, it's about doing two things better. We've got a lot of experience in working with startups, and I think we've finally got that model working. So we want to do it with maybe twice the number of startups, so go from 25 startups to 50, which will probably see us maybe geographically consolidate with a few other incubators. Other thing is that we've got these great business growth programs for owner-managers, and we just want to get more companies through those programs. So it's probably not about a lot of new stuff, it's about just scaling up what we've done and really starting to pump the gun on that.
What are some of the numbers? What kind of numbers do you have right now? How many people have gone through the owner-manager program and through the incubator?
So we're kind of like 100 startups we've worked with over 10 years, 3,000 SME owner-managers. And that's 300 a year, 10 a year startups, and the aspiration is to really lift that by a factor of about 5. Not necessarily 5 times as many companies, but 5 times as many successful companies. So we're really going to be a lot more national as an organisation. We're going to do a lot more partnerships, but it's important that the ecosystem, the people like Kia and that we sync in with them in New Zealand Trade and Enterprise and not try and do everything. So partnerships are a really important thing, like BNZ, other universities, other incubators, angel networks, and other organisations that are doing good stuff.
And so I move into the mag. So what is Impact about?
So Impact is really about just marking the time to say, hey, it's 10 years, that's cool. We have added some value ultimately through helping companies grow. And it's not us, it's the companies that have grown, we've just created that environment. So it is marking that time, telling some stories, which us Kiwis are maybe not always that good at, and then that will create the platform for the next 10 years, which is pretty exciting.
So you've got 3,000 companies that have been through the network, so that's quite a big community now. You're kind of turning it into a community now and they're starting to help each other?
Yeah, there's 10,000 people I think in the network, 3,000 have been through the programs. I think, we're not engaged with all of those, but it's starting to get, you start to see startups working with owner managers, corporates. I mean, that's a really interesting thing, what we've learned. So now we've been around a while, the corporates, when we ring them up saying we've got the startup's got a really interesting technology for banking, they take the call and they're open to it. And that's a big thing for New Zealand entrepreneurs if you can get access to those people. So
that's always been a big part of me knowing you and most people that I've introduced you to is that you connect people up quickly with people in corporates and people you probably can't get to. So a whole lot of, how do we clone Andy?
Well, it's interesting. I think, what other things I've noticed is that this whole web media area, social media, all of that online is a lot more, I would say, non-institutional. So even people like the Icehouse have become slightly irrelevant in that because you've got all these young cats doing startups, getting to market. And that's actually a good thing because it's not about me. There's a whole bunch of other people who are doing great stuff. And I think, we have roles, but one of the things I'd like to see a lot more of is how we connect up offshore. It's really hard going to Silicon Valley, going into New York, if you're not kind of leaning on other people. So we've got to do some work on that, like the Phil McCaws, the Rod Juries, the Sam Morgans. In some way we've got to leverage into them.
So you said connecting networks, so you think that's a big part of this next stage beyond 10 years, actually connecting the Icehouse network with the other networks?
Yeah, I think there is connecting networks. We've got to be really good at what our core business is and then let go of other things and rely on other people in the network to pick those things up. That's really important, and I think, maybe there's been a lot of organisations that have been trying to do stuff. We're not the best, we're pretty good, but there are other organisations that are doing really good things, and we've got to maybe just link up and be a little bit more confident. I really want to see Kia succeed over the next 10 years. It's a great asset of New Zealand, but we have to see it and help it to be more successful.
What's your latest words of wisdom in the middle of this? We're still in the recession, really, still happening, so what would you say to entrepreneurs right now?
Look, I think people are still succeeding if they persevere enough, if they're hard enough to get up the next morning and just keep asking and keep trying. It's amazing if you keep getting no's, and I really hate it when I see entrepreneurs who say they won't talk to me, and I ring them up and say, hey, how about it? And they go, sure. So I think you just got to keep asking, keep pushing, and people are still making money.